Welcome back, listening audience. This is the Noggin Notes podcast, and I am your host, Jake Wiskershin. Today, I don't have any guests. It's just me rambling, and I ramble for about 12 minutes about a topic that struck me recently, and it struck me well enough that I didn't even bother to prepare for this. I just started talking because I don't have any real well-formulated ideas about it. I just know that I'm kind of bothered by it. So I hope you can give me some feedback. info@nogginnotes.com, info@zephyrwellness.org. Speaking of Zephyr Wellness, they've been our sponsor since the beginning. It's the company that I co-own with my co-owner, Lindsay Bell. And we're in Northern Nevada, and we do a lot of stuff across Northern Nevada. But I'm ever thankful to my co-owner and my staff for allowing me to go do things like this, to bring information and wisdom and knowledge to the broader community so that you guys can all become, hopefully, healthier citizens along the way. And we can all live in a much happier, healthier community. We're also sponsored by Audible, and I'm super humbled and honored to have a company like Audible sponsoring us, because Audible's huge. They're powered by Amazon. And if you don't know about Audible, they provide audio books and other media, excuse me, to the listening audience. If you want a free trial to check out what they do, because they're powered by Amazon, they have this completely unmatched library of downloadable content. Go to audibletrial.com/nogginnotes, and you can get your free 30-day trial, complete with a complimentary download. It can be a book, it can be comedy, it can be news, it can be whatever you want. But anything in their library, you get to download it for free, and you keep it even after the 30 days if you decide not to continue. And that's pretty cool. Go to audibletrial.com/nogginnotes, free 30-day trial. You can enter all your information. They'll specify what they think you're going to enjoy, or you can just browse on your own, download something, keep it, and never have to pay. And obviously, if you do continue on, there's a small fee, but you get access to all this crazy content. It's really unimaginable, totally unmatched. audibletrial.com/nogginnotes, free 30-day trial, and you get one free audiobook or whatever you desire to download. That all being said, I hope you enjoy this little tease that I do this week. It's not much. It's very brief, but it's something that's danced across my consciousness recently that I think probably is going to affect everybody who listens. So that all being said, hope you enjoy it, and if you're moved, reach out and give me some feedback. Thanks. Well, it's just me today. I don't have any guests, but I wanted to talk to you about something that struck me recently. I'm recording this after Halloween, a couple of days after Halloween, or as we here where I'm from like to call it, Nevada Day. And there's a little bit of trivia for those of you who may not know. Nevada is one of 2 states in the entire United States that celebrates its own birthday and takes the day off for it. So ours happens to be on October 31st, and a few years back, our state legislature declared that we would celebrate Nevada Day and observe it the previous Friday, and then we would just work on October 31st. And in exchange, we actually don't take Columbus Day off, so that's something unique to the state of Nevada, but I digress. So the thing that struck me during Halloween was, in the past, when I was a child, light sticks were a really fancy, special thing that we used to do. And I don't know if you're listening around the world, if you don't know what light sticks are. They're basically the glow sticks that you snap and shake, and the chemicals combine to create a glow, and they come in many different colors. And so these are traditionally put out around Halloween and other holidays like New Year's and maybe July 4th, which is our American Independence Day. And they're fun for kids to play with. So what occurred to me was that I had left the light sticks at home, and our kids went out to go trick-or-treating. And I was embarrassed because I left the light sticks at home, and that's one of the biggest parts of Halloween is bringing out light up objects so that you can go trick-or-treating in the dark and have these illuminated sticks or whatever they may be. They could be flags, or they could be stuffed into things and whatnot. But what occurred to me was that they're available year round now, and they're just not as special as they used to be because of their availability. And I started thinking about all the other stuff that's available year round, and maybe has lost its quote unquote specialness. So light sticks turned into my mind wandering toward other things. In the last couple of years, I've done what I consider a dormant season of baseball, where I put away all of my San Francisco Giants gear at the end of the Giants season. I should probably hang out to it for another month because the Giants have been missing the playoffs the last couple of years. But at the end of the Giants season, I put away all my clothing, all the cups that we have around the house, the logoed merchandise, beer glasses we drink out of, all my hats. And I go into a season during the wintertime, football, basketball, hockey season, where I just don't do baseball. And I purposely did this because I realized that I wanted to make baseball so much more special, so that when springtime rolls back around, I can pull out all my baseball gear. And I've basically decided that the first day of the season, opening day, which is usually right around April 1st, that's the day that all the baseball stuff reemerges from the closets. And what I'm doing is I'm retaining the precious nature of this interest that I have, and it's worked actually. It's worked to kind of make me. I guess it whets my appetite. It makes me a little bit anticipate the baseball season as it comes around. And it's not like I don't like other sports or whatever, but I wanted to set that aside and make it really special, so that when the downtime comes, I'm not sitting there just bombarding myself with more baseball, and then it just becomes this year-round thing. And I started thinking about all the other stuff that we do that's basically year-round now that we've lost the significance of. Like, thanks to refrigerated trucking, we basically get vegetables any time of the year. There isn't a season. And when I grew up in the 1980s, we had seasons for certain produce. You just couldn't get certain berries in wintertime, or watermelons. That was a summertime food. And tomatoes were hard to find, if you could find them at all. And when you did, they weren't as flavorful. And but now we've got this technology that's advanced certain things like hydroponic growing year round, and indoor growing and whatnot. So we get our vegetables year round. We get our light sticks year-round because technology has driven down the cost so much that you can get 4 light sticks for $1 at the dollar store virtually year-round. And it started me thinking about all the other things that are no longer really elevated in significance anymore because of 24-hour news cycles. And then I started thinking about television shows and how the family doesn't rally around a television show anymore. And as a consequence, the broader community also doesn't rally around a television anymore. I think maybe the most recent one was maybe the the thing I'd ever watched. I can't even think of it right now. It was Game of Thrones. And I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I know a lot of people did, and that was, one of the more recent things that's brought people together in conversation and around pop culture. But movies, just kind of get released all the time, and we've lost, albums being dropped on. It was always a Tuesday that the album would get released, and now through digital platforms, music is just constantly being released. So what this brought me to realize is that I think we've had a watering down of the significance of things like holiday seasons and even calendar events. And I don't even know if does anybody care about lunar eclipses anymore, or is science caught up to the point where they're so predictable now that we just expect them to be told to us, and we go out and we remark and we go, oh, that's interesting, and we know that there'll be another one in a year or whatever. It seems like in doing so, we've got all these conveniences of modern technology, and we've got the conveniences of leveling the playing field, maybe between the haves and the have-nots of wealth and so forth. That I got a little wistful, thinking that maybe we're not appreciating what we really have. And so I guess I'm sharing this because I want other people to start thinking about it. And this is more of a philosophical podcast this time than it is instructive. I think but I didn't know where to go with this idea as it entered my head. Because like I said, this is kind of a fresh idea to me. Apart from the baseball stuff that I've been doing for the last couple of years, it just kind of hit me in the last 2 days, and I haven't really had a chance to digest it. So I'm looking for your feedback. If you guys want to reach out, info@naganotes.com and info@zephyrwellness.org. I want to start this dialogue, and I want to try to get to the bottom of whatever it is I'm getting to. I'm not even sure where I'm driving with this open-ended conversation. But I want to know how people feel about this. I want to know what you think. Have we lost significance in our daily lives? And I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in thinking that this is a big deal. But to me, if we lose significance in our rituals and the things that we now just take for granted, then it seems almost like we could take that same attitude and apply it to our human relationships. And I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see our relationships get any more disposable than they already are. We'll go back to the light sticks thing, or the glow sticks, people might call them. As a child, if I got a glow stick, it was a big deal. I mean, we only got those once a year, and we would try to preserve them as long as possible. And as it turns out, the chemical reaction slows down in the cold. So if you stick them in the freezer, you can pull them out the next day or 2 days later and warm them back up and get a little bit more glow out of them as well. And my kids just, glow stick is done. It gets thrown away. And I don't think they're appreciating it either. So I have to be a little more mindful about how I restrict access to certain things, just so that I keep them special, and people, like my children, can appreciate them for what they are, and we don't start taking things for granted. Because I think it would be detrimental to society if we all just started looking at things as disposable. The Dollar Tree, which is a major chain dollar, 99 cents and under retail store in America, they make a lot of money basically leveling the playing field by, you can get anything at a dollar store, from silverware to flatware to food to napkins and party decorations and seasonal items, and even LED solar powered light up walkway lamps. I mean, it's crazy how much you can get for just $1. And now I think a lot of that stuff has just lost its significance. It's no longer that you have to work really hard and earn your way toward, the solar LED walk-up lamps. It's just something that's readily accessible to everybody. You shell out $5, you get 5 little walkway lamps for your driveway. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I think that it's just something to be considerate of when we start looking at where we spend our resources and where we allocate our time. If everything is available all the time, we got movies on demand and we got television shows on demand. We no longer have to, sit around and wait for the appointed time to watch, say, the Friday night family television series. Then are we really, disposing of that time and taking it for granted? Has everything become cheap? Has music become discardable because I can just log in on my streaming app anytime I want and get the music I want? So I don't know. It's just something philosophically and psychologically I think we should explore. I don't really know where I'm going with this, and I apologize for the vague nature of the podcast, but I'm hoping to get the juices flowing, at least in your brains. And if you could get some feedback, I'd love to hear it. I would really, really enjoy hearing what you have to say about this concept. And I'm not even sure I'm articulating it well enough. So, it's a free podcast. You get what you pay for. And if this is making no sense whatsoever, well, don't listen next time. I don't know. But I would love to hear from you. I'm going to definitely bring this up in supervision the next time I think about it with my interns and my students, because we got a lot of high-powered brains in the room when we have those conversations. And ultimately, if we can bring happiness to our clients and our people and to society by helping people to shore up their impulsivity and maybe become a little bit more delayed in their seeking of gratification by, say, restricting access to the kids' glow sticks to only 2 holidays a year, Independence Day and Halloween. And maybe they themselves learn to delay their own gratification and appreciate things a little bit more. And maybe if we say, television time is not, whenever we can log in on the internet, it's going to be specifically reserved for, after 6 p.m. or something like that. Maybe we can maybe we can preserve the appreciation that we have for television and how much